Hello everyone, welcome to this series on the history of English literature, and in this video we are going to discuss the historical background of the Age of Pope. Introduction. The first half of the 18th century, often referred to as the Age of Pope, was a time of significant political, social and cultural changes in England. The period is named after Alexander Pope, a towering figure in English literature, whose works epitomized the intellectual and artistic trends of the era. The historical background of this period is crucial for understanding the literature it produced, as the political and social environment deeply influenced the works of writers like Pope, Swift, Addison and Steele. The rise of political parties. One of the defining features of the early 18th century was the rise of political parties. By 1700, the terms Whig and Tory were firmly entrenched in the political vocabulary of the time. The Whigs and Tories represented opposing views on governance and society, and their rivalry shaped the political landscape of the era. Whigs. The Whig Party was associated with the defense of personal freedom and opposed to the idea of royal divine right. They supported the Hanoverian succession and were generally aligned with the interests of the emerging commercial classes. Tories. In contrast, the Tories were largely drawn from the landed gentry and were proponents of royal authority. They were often sympathetic to the Jacobite cause, which sought to restore the Stuart monarchy. This political divide had a profound impact on literature, as writers often aligned themselves with one of these factions, leading to a literary output that was as much political as it was artistic. The Foreign War. The War of the Spanish Succession 1701 to 1714 was a significant conflict during this period, with widespread implications for European politics and English domestic affairs. Under the leadership of the Tory General Marlborough, the war was initially successful for England. However, as the conflict dragged on, it became a point of contention between the Whigs and Tories. Whig perspective. The Whigs, representing commercial interests, generally supported the war as it brought economic benefits. Tory perspective. The Tories, on the other hand, became increasingly opposed to the war, primarily due to the financial burden it imposed on the landed gentry through taxes. The conclusion of the war with the Treaty of Utrecht in 1713, negotiated by the Tories, was controversial and had lasting effects on English politics and literature, with many writers engaging with themes of war, peace and national identity. The succession crisis. The question of royal succession was another critical issue of the period. Queen Anne's numerous children all predeceased her, leading to concerns about the future of the English monarchy. Act of Settlement 1701. This Whig measure secured the succession for the House of Hanover by passing the Catholic Stuarts. Hanoverian succession 1714. Upon Anne's death, the succession passed to George I of the House of Hanover, despite Tory efforts to restore the Stuart line. The Hanoverian succession had a profound impact on the lives of contemporary writers, many of whom were directly involved in the political machinations of the time. The shift in power also influenced the themes and tone of the literature produced during this period. The spirit of the age. The early 18th century was marked by a spirit of stabilization, prosperity, and moderation. The Industrial Revolution was still in its infancy, and the social upheavals it would bring had not yet emerged. This period was characterized by aristocratic rule. Local governance was largely in the hands of the landed gentry, exemplified by the fictional Sir Roger de Coverley, a character created by Addison and Steele in The Spectator. Cultural refinement. There was a strong emphasis on refining manners, promoting tolerance, and embracing common sense and reason. This cultural climate fostered a literature that valued wit, balance, and rationality over passion and enthusiasm. The literature of the age of Pope reflects this spirit of moderation and reason. Writers of the period were often wary of enthusiasm, a term used to describe religious fervor or any form of emotional excess. This distrust of extreme emotions and ideologies is evident in the polished, measured prose and verse of the time. Conclusion. The age of Pope, spanning the first half of the 18th century, was a period of significant political, social, and cultural development in England. The rise of political parties, the foreign wars, the succession crisis, and the general spirit of the age all contributed to shaping the literature of the time. Writers like Alexander Pope, Jonathan Swift, Joseph Addison, and Richard Steele produced work that were deeply influenced by the historical context in which they lived, resulting in a body of literature that remains a testament to the intellectual and artistic currents of the early 18th century. So this was the discussion on the historical background of the age of Pope. We will meet in the next video and discuss some other topic. Until then, goodbye and thank you.